no sign for that anymore.
For Jimmy John's?
Stop hearing. Yeah.
Yeah, they closed.
Oh, they did?
I know.
It was a transfer or something of ownership, and you can't.
So I've been told it's time to start the meeting.
You have to be licensed.
I guess Ross is in a hurry. Good evening, everybody. It is November 6th. It is 6:30 p.m. It is time to get the show on the road. Please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk Brady, roll call, please.
Trustee Vogel?
Here.
Trustee Papantos?
Present.
Trustee Vito?
Here.
Trustee Lang?
Here.
Trustee Kruger?
Present.
Trustee Rufato? Here. President Horker?
Here. You have before you the minutes of the joint meeting of September 20th, 2023. I need a motion for their approval.
So moved.
Trustee Papantos, second.
I'll second.
Trustee Lang, roll call.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Abstain.
Okay. Trustee Lang?
Abstain.
That's right. Trustee Kruger?
Yes.
Trustee Rufato?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Abstain.
President Horker?
Yes. You also have before you the minutes of the regular meeting of October 16th. I need a motion for their approval.
So moved.
Trustee Papantos, second.
Second.
Trustee Lang, roll call.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Abstain.
Trustee Kruger?
Abstain.
Trustee Rufato?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Abstain.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
President Horker?
Yes, any changes to the agenda?
There are no changes this evening.
Any citizens' comments?
Not today.
Staff reports. Ms. Bajer.
Thank you. Public Works wanted to inform the board and the community and provide them an update regarding the Canadian National trains sounding their horns in the village of Wheeling. As you may be aware, Wheeling is part of a 10-community quiet zone, which runs from Antioch through the village of Wheeling. The quiet zone was authorized by the Federal Railroad Administration, FRA, after each community made certain improvements to their railroad crossings to make them safer, thereby allowing the communities to petition that the trains not sound their horns. Recently, however, the FRA updated their safety requirements, which resulted in each community having to make additional...
That's perfect.
We timed that on purpose. That was
Awesome.
Recently, the FRA updated their safety requirements, which resulted in each community having to make additional improvements at the crossings to meet the new standards. The Village of Wheeling completed all the required crossing improvements prior to the October 11 suspension of the quiet zone. The village is in full compliance with the FRA regulations to allow the quiet zone to be reinstated. However, not all the communities have completed these construction improvements. As the FRA sees the 59 crossings that span these 10 communities as a single quiet zone, either all crossings are compliant or they are not. The FRA did reach in the past week, reach the Village of Wheeling to inform us that they will make the inspection of our quiet zone a priority once the final crossings of all communities are complete. They understand the number of complaints our communities have been receiving from concerned residents and have stated that they will make inspecting the project a priority once the projects are all complete. The FRA stated the inspection will most likely commence the week of November 13th, which is next week. Pending passing results, the FRA anticipates the inspections will be followed by about 1 to 2 days of reporting. Then a notice will be provided to the Canadian National and Metra to resume the quiet zone. The ending of the horns will be expected within 7 days of that letter, ultimately putting the Village of Wheeling on track for a reaffirmed quiet zone prior to Thanksgiving. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Kaplan?
Thank you, Mr. President. I wanted to talk tonight a little bit about property tax bills. The Cook County Treasurer's Office recently began sending out second installment property tax bills, and some residents and businesses likely saw their bills increase significantly from the prior year. That's even though the Village of Wheeling did not increase its levy this year. So if your total tax bill went up, it's most likely because Wheeling's other taxing districts increased their levies, or the assessed value of your property increased at a rate greater than what other properties in Wheeling increased at. It's also possible, however, that while the village did not increase its tax levy, the amount that you must pay to the village may have gone up anyway. And again, if that happened, it's likely because the assessed value of your property increased more than other properties in Wheeling, which meant that the tax burden shifted to you from other properties. So in the end, the village will collect the same amount in property taxes that it did last year, but the amount that individual property owners pay to the village may have changed. And in other words, the pie is the same size as it was last year, but the pieces of the pie are sized differently from taxpayer to taxpayer. That's it.
Nice analogy. Mr. Svantos?
Thank you. Trustee Rufato had asked me to have Director Kaplan be prepared to answer that question since, of course, there's been a lot of discussion about tax bills as everyone's property tax bill arrives in their mailbox. And we wanted to make sure that the residents understand that the Village of Wheeling has not increased its taxes last year, nor has it done so again this year. So as Michael has said, there are reasons that your tax bill may go up or down, but they are not because we are collecting more money in total from the residents and businesses of the village.
Thank you, Michael. Clerk Brady, consent agenda.
Consent agenda. All items listed on the consent agenda are considered to be routine by the village board and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a board member or citizen so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the general order of business and considered after all other agenda items. 11A, resolution waiving the fidelity bond requirements for the Mabus Foundation to conduct a raffle for 1 year from November 7, 2023 through November 6, 2024. 11B, resolution affirming an agreement between the Village of Wheeling and the Municipal Alliance of Police, Chapter 786, for the period of May 1st, 2023 through April 30th, 2025. 11C, resolution approving a professional service agreement with Engineering Enterprises, Inc. for the Dundee Road Water Main Replacement Project in the amount not to exceed $195,972 for fiscal year 2023. 11D, resolution authorizing the execution of a professional service agreement with Motivations, Inc. for contracted telecommunicator service in the amount of $659,676.62.
Thank you. Motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Trustee Rufato, sorry. Second, Trustee Papantos, roll call.
Trustee Lang,
Yes.
Trustee Kruger,
Yes.
Trustee Rufato,
Yes.
Trustee Vogel,
Yes.
Trustee Papantos,
Yes.
Trustee Vito,
Yes.
President Horker.
Yes. New business.
13A, a public hearing regarding request for a Cook County Class 6B property tax abatement for the property at 90 East Marquardt Drive. Applicant is JP Wheeling LLC.
Thank you. Okay, this is a formal part of the evening. There was a legal notice given for a public hearing on the subject this evening. Anybody here to talk about it from the public? Going once, going twice?
Wait there.
What? You're the petitioner?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
not you. I guarantee you'll get your chance. Okay, this is a hearing for the public to make comments regarding the request for a Class 6B real estate tax assessment for 90 East Marquardt Drive. A public hearing notice was published in the Daily Herald. Each member of the public shall have 5 minutes to make their comments. During this time, staff and the board will not be answering questions. Comments should not be repetitive or argumentative. We've already established there are no questions from the public. I need a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Trustee Papantos, second.
Second.
Trustee Vogel, roll call.
Trustee Krueger,
Yes.
trustee Rufato,
Yes.
trustee Vogel,
Yes.
trustee Papantos.
Yes.
Trustee Vito,
Yes.
trustee Lang.
Yes.
President Horker.
Yes. Item B, Clerk Brady.
Resolution authorizing and consenting to a Cook County Class 6B real estate tax assessment classification for the real property located at 90 East Marquette Drive in the Village of Wheeling, Illinois.
Marquardt Drive, Mr. Becker.
Thank you. This item is a proposed 6B Cook County property tax reclassification for the 90 East Marquardt Avenue. The petitioner is here, Cobra Concrete Cutting Company, as well as their attorney. The applicant is proposing to purchase this building and relocate 70 jobs from Arlington Heights, as well as adding an additional 15 to the location in Wheeling. In addition to the purchase of the property, we'll be looking at spending upwards of $200,000 in improvements on the facility. And we're looking for some direction, and the applicant and their attorney are here for any specific questions.
Questions from the board. Trustee Papantos, and now.
Thank you. And it is for the applicant, so if you could step up to the podium, please. I promise it'll be quick.
No worries.
When I was reading the packet last week, it indicated that you plan on a retail segment.
Yeah, we,
Could you introduce yourself? Because
Oh, I'm
somebody has to
sorry.
type this up later.
absolutely. My name is Dan Foley. I'm the president of Cobra Concrete Cutting, and this is my partner, John Kirpan.
And I'm just wondering what the retail segment is for.
So the retail segment would be a resale of diamond blades. We use diamond blades, but we also have the potential to sell them. But we also have, we're certified by the manufacturers of the equipment that we use to fix and maintain those tools for others, but we are only doing it in-house for our own people at this point because we have no way to keep ourselves open to the public, so that
Okay.
would be,
But you would have some,
yeah, that's our plan, is to have a little retail component of that where people could come in and we could service equipment and sell diamond tools, diamond blades and stuff like that.
do you have any estimate as to what the revenue would be, expected revenue? And if you don't, that's fine.
I don't really have a firm number on that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Papantos. Any other questions? There are some conditions specifically. The applicant shall obtain all necessary building and/or construction-related permits from the village for the construction associated with the proposed improvements. Subject property shall be reoccupied, operated, and maintained at all times in compliance with the applicable codes and ordinances of the village. 3, all work performed on the proposed development must be conducted in a good and workmanlike manner with due dispatch and within the deadlines provided pursuant to the resolution or set forth in village code. 4, total construction value for permits issued for the proposed development shall be no less than $200,000. 5, the proposed development shall be completed by January 31st, 2024. Upon completion of the proposed development, the applicant will request the village inspect and approve the proposed improvements to confirm that the proposed development has been constructed in compliance with the plans approved by the village. Now, I need a motion to approve with the conditions as read.
So moved.
Second.
Trustee Papantos, second trustee Vogel. Roll call, please.
Trustee Rufato?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Krueger?
Yes.
President Horker?
Yes, congratulations. Good luck.
All right, thank you, guys. We're looking forward to being here.
Thank you.
Welcome to Wheeling.
C.
13C, public hearing regarding request for a transfer of ownership of a Cook County Class 6B property tax abatement for the property at 742 Glen, applicant 742 Glen SB LLC.
This is the public hearing portion of this meeting. This is a public hearing for the public to make comments regarding the request for a transfer of a Class 6B real estate tax at 742 Glen. A public hearing notice was published in the Daily Herald. Each member of the public shall have 5 minutes to make their comments. During this time, staff and the board will not answer questions. Comments should not be repetitive or argumentative. Are there any comments from the public? Once, twice. No comments. I would like a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Trustee Krueger, second trustee Rufato. Roll call, please.
Trustee Rufato?
Yes.
Trustee Krueger?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
President Horker?
Yes. D.
Resolution approving a First Amendment to a Cook County Class 6B real estate tax assessment classification incentive agreement for the real property located at 742 Glen Avenue in the Village of Wheeling, Illinois.
Mr. Becker.
Mr. President, trustees, this is the request by the applicant, Kelly Disser and David Maxwell. This is a request to amend a 6B property tax reclassification that was approved by this board in April of last year. The notice of transfer or the amendment to the 6B is not to extend the 6B that was previously approved by the board, but to allow for the transfer of ownership based upon the fact that the prior incentive agreement specifically listed a tenant who is no longer occupying the building. That business has been taken over by one of the prior partners. Mr. David Maxwell is here to answer any questions, but basically nothing changes other than allowing for the new business entity to occupy the property as a tenant, as well as a new investment group who is purchasing some of the other ownership shares from the other partners who were originally the applicants in April of last year.
So you have a partner selling to somebody else?
Pretty much.
Okay. Questions or comments? Nobody's interested in talking. I need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Trustee Rufato, second.
Second.
Trustee Krueger, roll call, please.
Trustee Krueger?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Rufato?
Yes.
President Horker?
Yes. Congratulations.
13E, ordinance granting major site plan and building appearance approval for construction of a new building for the Northwest Mosquito Abatement District at 147 West Hintz Road, docket number PSPM AJ23-0004.
Mr. Clicker.
As Clerk Brady said, this is for the Northwest Mosquito Abatement District. They're seeking a major site plan and building appearance approval for the construction of a new 18,266 square foot single-story building and associated improvements to replace its current office and maintenance building at 147 West Hintz Road. The Plan Commission unanimously recommended this for approval at their October 25th meeting with one condition, and that condition is that an irrigation plan shall be submitted to the Community Development Department for review and approval with the building permit application.
Thank you, Mr. Clicker. Questions or comments? Going to be faster than the budget hearing. If there are no questions or comments from the board, I would look for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Trustee Lang, second. Trustee Papantos, roll call.
Trustee Lang.
Yes.
Trustee Vito.
Yes.
Trustee Papantos.
Yes.
Trustee Vogel.
Yes.
Trustee Rufato.
Yes.
Trustee Krueger.
Yes.
President Horker.
Yes.
13F, resolution awarding a restaurant and retail build-out assessment grant for 82 through 106 East Dundee Road in the total amount of $13,525.20.
Mr. Becker.
Mr. President, trustees, Hakimi Brothers Investment have requested the retail restaurant build-out grant for their shopping center that they own from 82 to 106 East Dundee Road. Part of this is, as a shopping center being more than 2 individual storefronts, this property does qualify. Based on the work that's involved, the total request is $13,525.20, which represents 50% of the eligible reimbursement costs for the materials and 25% of the labor. The applicant proposes to replace the facade, the stucco, installing hardy board, and staining the concrete, the bricks, throughout the center to appeal to new potential tenants. Currently, there is 1 vacancy in the center, and the applicant is here to answer any specific questions any of you might have.
Questions or comments?
No.
Nothing? Need a motion to approve?
So moved.
Trustee Vogel, second.
Second.
Trustee Lang, roll call, please.
Trustee Vito.
Yes.
Trustee Papantos.
Yes.
Trustee Vogel.
Yes.
Trustee Rufato.
Yes.
Trustee Krueger.
Yes.
Trustee Lang.
Yes.
President Horker.
Yes, good luck, gentlemen.
13G, amending the Wheeling Municipal Code to add a new chapter 8.80 entitled Tetrahydrocannabinol products to Title 8 Public Peace and Safety.
Mr. Farola.
Thank you, President Horker, the Village Board. In 2019, the Cannabis Regulation and Tax Act was adopted in the state of Illinois that allowed for the private use and possession of cannabis for adults. Wheeling, as you know, opted into that act and has 2 dispensaries operating in town. Since then, outside of state regulation, a number of products have been developed over the past several years that are synthetically derived from THC. The most common of these products contain synthetically derived versions of what's called Delta-8 THC and Delta-9 THC. Products containing these compounds can be found for sale in the Village of Wheeling at vape and smoke shops, convenience stores, and gas stations. The proposed ordinance will make the advertisement, display, sale, and delivery of these products containing THC without a state license unlawful in the Village of Wheeling. And this ordinance imposes a fine of not less than $500 for violations of the ordinance, plus reimbursement of testing costs incurred by the village. Additionally, business licenses can also be revoked for violation of the ordinance. The ordinance provides that it will go into effect on January 1st of 2024 in order to give the businesses currently selling these products sufficient time to be educated on the ordinance and to cease selling the products containing THC. It's important to note that the establishments that are licensed by the state of Illinois under the Cannabis Regulation and Tax Act and under the Compassionate Use of Medical Cannabis Program Act are exempt from the provisions of the ordinance. Thus, the Wheeling dispensaries are exempt from coverage. I also want to point out that in 2012, at the urging of the police department, the Village of Wheeling adopted an ordinance using its home rule authority, which it will be doing tonight if you do adopt this ordinance, prohibiting the sale or possession, similar to this, of products that contained synthetic cannabinoid or hallucinogens. Now, why is this necessary? It's necessary to follow up on that 2012 ordinance because in 2018, the Federal Farm Bill allowed for the sale of hemp or other cannabis derivative products as long as those products contained less than 3% concentration of the delta-9 THC molecule. Additionally, since our ordinance in 2012, the Cannabis Regulation and Tax Act obviously was adopted in 2019. I can answer any further questions regarding the proposed ordinance.
Trustee Papantos?
Do we know how many establishments are selling this or in town?
The police department has that information. The detectives went out and did a survey. Jamie, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe there were 4 or 5, right around there?
Yeah, I don't know the exact number, but it was between 4 and 7, I believe. It's right in the middle of the area.
And they'll have basically at least 2 months to get their acts together on this.
Yes, I think the idea would be to send letters out to notify them of the ordinance, answer any questions they have. Effective date January 1, 2024.
Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Papantos. Are there any other questions? Trustee Vito?
The products that they're selling are legal under the federal law, right? Because they're under the .3.
The answer to that is really unknown. So some of them may be legal under the federal law, but what happens, these are products that have synthetic cannabis. So what they do is that they're processed. And while they may have been .3 when they were harvested or harvested, when they get to market after the processing, which makes them stronger, the numbers do tend to go up. So yes, in part to your question, that some of the products may be legal under federal law, some are not, but we are exercising our home rule authority. We would be joining a couple other municipalities in the state that have done this. Elk Grove has done it, Orland Park has done it, Elgin is really close to doing it. We would be joining a handful of home rule communities that are exercising that authority under their police power to address what if you pass this, according to the ordinance, is a health and safety issue. And the other thing I want to mention that I forgot to mention is that these products are largely unregulated. There are no age limitations, like tobacco, which is 21. Many times back in 2012, the urging of the police department was in large part because kids under 18 were buying these products. And the same thing is happening. So it's a market that's largely unregulated in the state right now.
Yeah, I mean, my issue is that if they're selling the product, I would have to assume that if these people are getting it, it's going to be under .3, whatever they're getting from their wholesalers or wherever they're buying it from. And if that's the case, it's actually legal under federal law, unlike our 2 pot shops, which are actually illegal under federal law. So we are now going to criminalize something that's actually technically legal while we have 2 pot shops in town which are technically illegal. And for that reason, I'm against that. That's all.
Any other questions or comments?
I do. We do down here, the right side. Go ahead.
I was looking that way. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Mary.
Oh,
You go first.
the wrong side. Attorney Frola, a question about proximity to school. There's no condition about that with this product, correct?
No, like I said, this is largely completely unregulated.
So if there's a neighboring community that's close to a high school that has a neon sign in their window that says selling Delta 8, my suggestion would be to contact their police department and file a complaint or write a letter to that municipality. Because I would think that cannabis has you can't have I'll coin a phrase, Joe, a pot shop so many feet from a church or a school or whatever, right?
Well, yeah, that's correct.
That's regular.
But that's under the state law relating to dispensaries. This market is unregulated. This is really a new territory. So a neighboring community that doesn't have an ordinance like this one, if you do adopt it, that's really their enforcement issue.
Very good, thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, Trustee Kruger. Trustee Rufato.
Thank you. Is there, was this a loophole in the state when they created the marijuana legislation? Or was this something that thought about? And is there something, do we know, is there something in the state that would fix this problem?
I think you could call it a loophole, and there is a bill that's pending at the state, that's been pending for a while, that would address this issue. Some of the changes that bill recommends is regulating it per age, making it only available for 21 and over, but that bill hasn't gotten off the ground as of yet.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, Trustee Rufato. Mr. Ferroli, you mentioned something about Delta 9 versus the Delta 8 that we're addressing. What? 0.3% concentration of Delta 9 THC on a dry weight basis. We're talking about Delta 8.
Well, our ordinance actually prohibits any products containing THC outside of a licensed facility under the Cannabis Regulation and Tax Act. Those products are Delta 8 or Delta 9.
So basically, this is the same as saying you can't sell liquor without a liquor license.
It's similar. Unless you're a dispensary, you cannot sell a product containing THC under this ordinance.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? Trustee Vogel?
Would it make more sense to regulate it by age and put it in as a 21, cannot sell under 21? You're saying that this is sold at smoke shops, did you say?
It's sold at gas stations, convenience stores,
and some of those
smoke shops.
Smoke shops are regulated now for 21 for tobacco products.
Tobacco's 21.
And we also regulate this as 21.
And that's a policy call. That's an enforcement issue, I believe. But that would be a completely different ordinance than this one.
I mean, marijuana is 21.
That's a policy call by this board.
Cigarettes, though, are 18.
Yeah, if I can add, one of the issues, what this ordinance or issue came to our attention is the fact there's no it's not regulated as far as what the level of THC is in it. It's supposed to be 03, but there's no evidence-based or anything that's presented to us or we can find anywhere that says that the different manufacturers adhere to standards. So it's really, it's an unknown. And this came to our attention because parents were contacting us and assuming that it would have been illegal for these stores to dispense them to their children, and that they were making the sales to them. And we looked into it and said, no, that it's legal.
Wouldn't it make sense then to make it 21? If it's, the parents that are complaining about the kids.
I think that's a policy call. I do. I think a lot is unknown about the chemicals that go into these synthetically derived THC products, and that's why some of these other communities have adopted similar ordinances. It's kind of the Wild West, very frankly. So to say 21 for products you really just don't know that much about, I'm not sure that's going to do a whole lot.
Is there a way to test? I mean, do we have the capability of testing? How would we know if it's more than the limit, the federal limit?
Would have to go to a testing facility. This ordinance provides that.
We wouldn't.
This ordinance provides that if it does have to go to a testing facility, that the violating business would pay the fees for the testing.
But we're not doing a percentage in the ordinance. We're doing any THC product whatsoever.
Right. The test would be for THC, I believe, at that point.
Of someone trying to hide it? Because obviously if they said they're selling THC, then they would have THC in it, presumably. So, yeah, I just don't get why we're criminalizing something that's not criminal.
Would it almost make it, so looking at it from the 21 and over, should we just include it in the licensed dispensaries? Like you simply.
What's the point?
What?
What's the point? It's, the stuff in the dispensary is pure, it's better, it's.
Right.
Well,
They're
it would
not
be-
selling
It's not this
synthetic.
garbage, untested garbage that they're selling at a gas station. You don't know what that is.
Yeah.
And one of these days, it'll come out that, oh, this was really bad.
Everything comes out
It could.
really bad. Yeah, you're all done.
Mr. President,
Yes, ma'am.
question to Trustee Vogel's suggestion about age restriction. Would, if we adopted an age restriction for this product, would we then have to put those smoke shops or gas stations or convenience stores on our annual sting operation list of somehow trying to, just like liquor enforcement?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, they already are for tobacco use, so
Okay.
I think the question, besides the point that Trustee Lang made, I think the question is simply whether you want THC sold outside of a dispensary. So just from an enforcement standpoint, from a regulation standpoint, in the village, do you want to see THC products of any type being sold outside of a dispensary?
Licensed dispensary. Okay, thank you.
Fair enough?
Yeah.
Final points?
Anyone tried one of these? Do they get you high? I don't think they do. I don't think they do, or else kids would be all over these places, and I would hear about it with high school kids.
They are.
They are? I've never heard it.
Yeah.
I have a lot of high school kids in my universe.
Let's give it a whirl. So moved.
I believe Trustee Lang made a motion. Are we done with the?
Second.
Second from Trustee Kruger. Are we
Yes.
done with questions and comments? Motions have been made and seconded. Roll call, please.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Rufato?
Yes.
Trustee Kruger?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
No.
President Horker?
Yes. Mr. Svondillis.
Thank you. We go from that to
Lighting.
lights around Wheeling. There is no sequitur. It is that time of year, so, and this being the last meeting before this event, Lights Around Wheeling returns on Sunday, November 19th at Friendship Park. As always, festivities begin at 4:30 on Sunday, November 19th. All the fun and frivolity you have come to know. Santa will be driving by as he does, and more information is available on the website.
Are we going to do the drive-by thing with the GPS?
We are.
Awesome. I
We
like
are.
that.
Santa on your street
Yes.
will be in full effect.
Father Christmas, too. You have before you the bills for October 12th through November 1st, 2023. I need a motion for their approval.
So moved.
Trustee Rufato, second.
Second.
Trustee Papantos, roll call, please.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Rufato?
Yes.
Trustee Kruger?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
President Horker?
Yes, we have an executive session this evening for the purposes of collective negotiating matters between the public body and its employees or their representatives. Therefore, I need a motion to recess into executive session and adjourn the regular meeting.
So moved.
Trustee Kruger, second.
Second.
Trustee Rufato, roll call.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Kruger?
Yes.
Trustee Rufato?
Yes.
President Horker?
Yes, there will be no business discussed after the meeting this evening, so this meeting is recessed.
Is.
Yes. We will be reconvening at 7:15 in the executive session chambers.